Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Laura Canfield Show, the Awaken to Happiness Now Global Series. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And I'm so excited that my good friend Lisa Barnett is here with us today. And we've just been chatting because we just like to chat for a little bit beforehand. But it's been an exciting time, busy time. And so today, I'm so glad that Lisa's here with us, and we're going to talk about divine frequency activations and clearings. And we're going to talk about, and learn about how the Akashic Records can help you step into your power and speak your truth. Because really this year, that's what it's about. It's about being in your power, speaking your truth, shining more, being authentic, etc. We're going to find out how karma blocks you from creating your dreams. We're going to learn how you can energetically heal your broken heart. We're going to learn how stuck emotions affect your health and how your soul can help. And we're going to learn why a past life may make you afraid to start a new job or business. So much. So I'm so excited. And Lisa's been on our show many, many times, and we're always so glad to have her back. She is an international best-selling author of From Questioning to Knowing, 73 Prayers to Transform Your Life, and The Infinite Wisdom of the Akashic Records. And she's also the founder of the Akashic Knowing School of Wisdom, where she has taught thousands of students worldwide to access personal soul wisdom and guidance to transform their life, working directly with their personal Akashic record keepers. And with more than 20 years of experience in spiritual healing, Lisa teaches these simple tools which empower individuals to find greater fulfillment, happiness, abundance, and health. And Lisa helps you align with your soul path, understand your soul contracts, and complete your karma and vows. So I'm so happy and excited that she's here with us. And I just want to thank you all for being here and taking the time out of your schedule to be here with us today. And our mission here is to support you in being the best version of you, living your greatest life with ease, joy, and love. And so today, you might want to take some notes. You might just want to just be open to experiencing the energies from the call, the wisdom that Lisa's going to share with us, and just be present, be present. All right. So thank you so much again for being here. And please join me in welcoming Lisa back to the show. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. It is so fun to be here and again. And I always say every time I see you, I'm like, I'm gonna have to come and see you in Austria sometime, in Europe. I'd love to get over there. It's been years since we were together in Canada now.
Yep, it has been so long.
Time's flying.
Yes, time is flying. And that's the thing, it's like time doesn't stop, right? Time is going to continue. So, as we were just talking a few minutes ago, because I had, when I was thinking about our call today, I was thinking about you, thinking, oh, I'm sure she's got another book coming out. I remember her saying she was, writing another book. I wonder if it's come out. I haven't seen anything. It's like, interesting. And so, as we were talking, you said, yes, you're in the process of writing 2 more books, right? And so,
right.
And the thing is, when you're writing, when you're creating, and you're living, and you're traveling, and you're teaching, right? You're sharing quite a bit, but at the same time, you're creating your life. You're not letting anything stop you from moving forward in your life. And so I want to talk a little bit about that as well, because it's like a lot of times, we get stuck in our, some beliefs, some patterns, sometimes the energies of the planet, whatever's going on. Yet we can't let that stop us, right, from moving forward.
Right.
So
right.
I want to talk a little bit about that later when we talk about, past lives and karma and vows, etc. as well, because I think a lot of times people get caught up in that, and then, it happens, it's like we get stuck, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that as we move forward. But first of all, I want to talk a little bit about, because some people may not know what the Akashic Records are, who the masters are, who the record keepers are. Can you talk a little bit about that first before we get going into the meat?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I always figure it's a good idea so that we're all on the same page, right? Starting out. And so what the Akashic Records are is the recording of your soul's journey throughout time. And that means that from the moment you individuated from source until you eventually someday return home back into divine oneness, everything you are as an individuated soul is recorded in your personal Akashic library. or Akashic record. You can imagine it really as part of the cloud. I love to, I kind of like that image. We used to use the library image, but I think now where everything, is on our computers and we're loading it up into the iCloud or some kind of cloud, whatever,
right.
cloud or another, it's a good way to look at it because it's always accessible to us. It's always there, no matter what day it is, right? No matter what year it is, you can always go back and retrieve your information. And this is true about the Akashic records. So when you individuated from source, this naturally starts a recording of your soul's information, everything you've ever been or done, every lifetime, every emotion, every every talent you have, right? So whether it was in Lemuria or caveman times or another planet or like the Pleiades or Sirius or another dimension like the angelic realm, we really do it all, and it's all recorded in your Akashic record. So it's so much more than just a couple of lifetimes as a human. Most of us as humans even live, I'm going to say up to, there's never any cap, but it takes a lot of us around 600, 700, 800 lifetimes to work through the old karmic patterns.
Wow.
So that's your Akashic record. And you have your own set of Akashic record keepers, who I sometimes just call the record keepers, or I might refer to them as the Akashic masters, or, there's quite a few of these librarians that each person has keeping their records and helping you specifically to access the information you're looking for in your Akashic records. So it's a pretty big system, and the fact that most of us don't even tap into it ever, it's kind of a waste of a lot of information and help, guidance, and love.
And that's the thing. Sometimes, when things are happening in our lives, when, and we've all experienced this, when our life feels like it's falling apart, we don't access the records. We don't, access the Akashic record masters and the knowledge that they have for us. We don't. And how can we? Because let's face it, they are a resource for us, right? They are a resource for us in order to help us to make our lives here easier and maybe understand it better, right?
Right. Absolutely. So they're here to support us, just like all of your other type of guides. So I would say that, as humans, most of us have 3 to 6 guardian angels just to help us stay safe. But the interesting thing about the guardian angels is that once we hit a certain kind of level and vibration energetically as humans, we can choose to become guardian angels because each person has so many. We really need, there's a whole volunteer team. We really need to have souls who also do the human process to help us out. So we have, we want to talk to our angels. We want to talk to our archangels. We want to talk to the ascended masters. We have so many different resources. But I think one of the really interesting things to know is that your Akashic record keepers are really just there for you, compared to archangels or ascended masters who are there for all of humanity. So these are very profound guides that are strictly in service to you and there to help you know the truth of who you are as an ancient, wise, divine soul. So they can really help us to kind of fill in those holes. And what we notice is that kind of one of the big challenges for humanity, one of the big challenges of being human is self-doubt and low self-esteem and kind of lack of self-love and all those feelings where we just don't feel good enough. All of that can be really helped and supported really when we start to work in the Akashic Records, because your Akashic Record keepers are pure source energy.
Mm-hmm.
They individuated from source and never became human. They haven't journeyed out. And so they're pure, unconditional love. There is no judgment. There is no, well, judgment's one of the biggies, you know, but there's none of those other beliefs that we get, you know, sometimes, especially even when we talk to like the Ascended Masters. And, you know, really the Ascended Masters, they've been human. They've done the whole human thing. So they can be super helpful in that way because they have done that. They do understand and know this world and realm. But on the other hand, you know, there may be more filter, a little more judgment, or it may come through in that sort of way, where I would say the record keepers, they just don't have it because they never had that.
Good to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, you know, sometimes the knowledge that we can gain from our own records, or from the Akashic Records, from the Akashic Masters, can give us a little bit more clarity and give us a little bit more of a bigger picture of really what's going on, right? And so I was talking to somebody yesterday about grief and loss, and potential grief and loss. So what do the Akashic Records and the Akashic Masters, what does that knowledge in the Akashic Records teach us about grief and loss?
Well, of course, to me, one of the biggest points is that we're infinite souls.
Mm-hmm.
And so there really is no such thing as loss. Of course, we as humans experience loss. If a person crosses over and they're not in our daily life, we feel loss.
Yeah.
But they are always there. And many times they might be part of our soul family. We may have had other lifetimes with them. We have this experience of sharing this deeper bond with them. And so not only are they there anyway, often for years they hang around us. And so when we can learn to speak with them, to connect with them, to know the truth that they are perfect. They are in a better place, right? An amazing, beautiful, light-filled place. And often they're here now kind of, you know, watching over us and helping us and maybe giving us hints and nudges, right? That they are never, ever, ever gone. And so that is one, to me, of the great gifts of really understanding in this bigger way, on this deeper level, how infinite we truly are. And of course, you know, it doesn't mean that we don't miss them. It doesn't mean that our heart doesn't break. You know, it doesn't mean that we don't experience those emotions. And I would never suggest that we ignore grief and ignore these emotions, because that's why we come here as humans. We come to experience all these things, to experience the love and the pain, you know, the grief, the sadness, the renewal, the new love, whatever that might be. So really experiencing it, but also being able to let it go and know the bigger truth, so that we remember and know that these souls are always with us.
Absolutely. And also, I want to just really briefly touch on other types of losses, you know, sort of like loss of a job, or loss of a business, or loss of, you know, relationships, you know, are those types of losses, because we do experience quite a bit of loss in our human experiences. Are those types of losses also associated with karma, with vows, with contracts that we've made in past lives?
Right. You know, yes, absolutely, because we're very complicated souls, right? So before we embody, we write a whole soul plan. And one of the great gifts that the record keepers also give us is to help us to kind of understand and decipher our soul plan. And in that plan, we write contracts to support other people and have them support us. We write soul contracts to learn and grow, which you could say have karma attached, because often we look at karma as a punishment, which it never is. but it is about soul growth, which means not so easy usually. If it was easy, then we wouldn't really write it into that plan, right? So it may be we lose a job because there's a better one for us, or we lose a job because there is, great learning or growth not getting in that position. And so it's kind of time to move on and learn what we came to learn. And so sometimes we get a better job, but it might have more challenges attached, or it might have some other kind of karma attached. So there we are, learning and growing, and we're really called to be compassionate because there's somebody in that business who we're not getting along with, who maybe sees the world really differently than us. And all of these things, it calls us to be the best soul that we can be, to expand into these greater wisdoms. Like when we're experiencing challenges with other people, it's really calling us to know that each and every person is a infinite soul also. Some of them are younger and newer, some of them are working on different kinds of lessons, but when we can really see everyone, no matter what they're doing to us or doing near us or around us, or they're still on a soul path. They're still doing their soul work, kind of no matter what it looks like to us, no matter how we judge it. That's not our job. Our job is to either be the love, the forgiveness, the compassion, and maybe go the other way, especially if it's an abusive kind of relationship, or even quit that job if it's an abusive boss. But it really is about stepping further and deeper into unconditional love, compassion, really seeing the light in other souls, so that we can help. When we can shine our light, right, we're helping them to match that energy and shine their light also. So I see people change when they do a forgiveness prayer. They see people around them change. When we step more into our light and our grace and be the compassion, most of my students will say to me, wow, it's amazing how either those people went away and I now have, like lovely friends instead of grumpy friends or whatever it was. People really can change just by matching our energy. So yeah, it's all very complicated and important, right? To understand and kind of get that bigger picture.
And, at the same time, it's actually really quite simple. It's about, just accepting everybody and whatever their path they're on. And you accept yourself and the path that you're on and continue moving forward with what feels right to you in the moment. Like do what feels right to you, accept yourself. There are some quirks about me that, I don't judge anymore. It's like, this is me, right? So living without judgment. And but one of the things, and this is something that's hard for me as well, is a lot of times, and then I know a lot of people on these calls as well, they have pain body issues, right? They have physical challenges of some sort. They might have back pain. They might have all sorts of different things. So can you talk a little bit about that? Is that also something that we chose beforehand? Like that, is that also part of in our soul plan, when we decided to come here again?
Right, absolutely. So because we're complicated, right? We would be so bored if we weren't. We sometimes will say, okay, I want to work on this lesson and this growth. And then we get into the light and we're into this life and we're having maybe a kind of a challenging childhood, a traumatic childhood. Maybe we have an abusive kind of parent or an alcoholic parent or a narcissistic parent, whatever. Maybe we get kind of abandoned or ignored. All of these emotions are, are painful, right? They're painful for us. And really depending on what we came to learn and all of the people who are around us, and some of this depends on how we set up our soul contracts. We might have a support contract with both of our parents, or we might not have a support contract with both or either even of your parents. So you may have a karmic contract with one of your parents and no contract with the other parent, right? So we don't all set up these super easy lives, obviously. And so when we suppress emotions, when the emotions are overwhelming, which is not so unusual, especially when we're small children, when this happens and we start to stuff those emotions, they end up coming out in the body in one way or another. So they can turn into physical pain. They can be what we refer to as dis-ease, of course, which literally turns into some type of disease or illness in your physical body. And to me, I do a technique which is called pain body healing technique. And the pain body is really a layer of your bodies, right? So we have, the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual. The pain body is not one of the normal bodies we're supposed to have. So it is literally created by a lot of emotional pain. So the way it looks to me energetically is like another layer, like an extra 8th layer. And it's lit up with all these kind of bright lights, which could be pretty, but they're really pain lights of kind of pain and trauma. And so what happens is a lot of this emotional pain and trauma, just like everything works, it works as a magnet, right? So that pain is actually drawing more pain to you, just like abundance draws more abundance and love draws more love, pain draws more pain. So when we have a developed pain body, which is actually a little bit more uncommon, it's not everybody doesn't have a pain body, but a lot of us, if we're struggling and we have a lot of emotional pain and trauma, we had a traumatic childhood, and we really feel like no matter what we do, life sucks because it's always a challenge, then the likelihood that you have a pretty developed pain body becomes much greater. So we can literally go in and clear and erase and delete a lot of those pain pictures or those bright lights that are like, I don't know, it's just like a flash of pain that's gotten stuck in your energy field. And so we become covered in them, and then that becomes our driving force in life. And even when we have that, and if it's particularly developed, that means that even when we go out there and we meet new people, that's what they see first. They actually see or feel our pain or our trauma or our drama. And so we may find that it's hard to make new friends or, meet new people because there's a lot of kind of negative energy in our field, and people don't really want to be around it particularly because even though it's not really visible, it's energetically out in the front. So I do this pain body healing technique in one of the, activations that we'll talk about later, because I think it's really important, because these things can really be some of the blocks that keep you so stuck. And it can be emotional pain from this life, and it can come forward from a lot of other emotional past lives, traumatic past lives, that we kind of bring that forward because we're bringing it forward to learn from. But it's never as easy as we think it will be when we're not in a body, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, I'm done learning. I've learned enough. I think I've learned quite a bit in this lifetime. So it's like, I'm done. But yeah, that's really interesting to hear about that pain body and the technique, because I think that's going to be really important for a lot of people, because so many people, I think, are holding a lot of I will say, lights in their pain bodies, you know,
Right.
and that may be affecting them in creating their lives. So I was like, oh wow, not,
Right.
not nice.
Right, right, absolutely. Because sometimes, like, I'll do a healing reading session. I still do a few Akashic record readings and healing sessions. But when I come across that in somebody, it's a big deal, really, and it can be almost an hour of healing, or more. Because it can be a little intense. So actually, so instead of paying over $400 for an hour of that, you can get that, like for really just a little bit in this program. So it's an important block to release. And when we really feel stuck, it's like those are these very abstract things, like, why can't I move forward? Why can't I find a new job or make more money or make new friends or find that love? Sometimes it's because we have a lot of, these pain pictures in our energy field.
And so that could be preventing you from living your life on purpose. So let's talk about that too. Let's talk about life purpose, soul purpose. That's such a big topic, and so many people are still searching for, what is my life purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? What does my soul want to do? But even if we figure that out, if we have these other pain pictures plus other contracts and vows and karma, that is still unresolved, we can't really live our life on purpose, can we, as fully as we would like?
Right, exactly. It's just like, looking out a dirty window. There's always a film. It's always hard to see. It's always hard to get through that darn glass, right? So even if we know where we're going and we think we're kind of on the way, if we keep bumping up against that glass ceiling of, whatever it is, those pain pictures, and then we feel really, really stuck and frustrated. So purpose is so interesting. And one of the ways I think it's kind of important to talk about soul purpose is through the idea of the soul plan. So really what I'm starting, this is one of the books that I started to write, which goes called something like, Your Soul Has a Plan, and it's written in your Akashic Records. And because things would be so simple if we came with one purpose, right? If our purpose was a job description, but it's not, right? Anyone who tells you it is wrong. I don't know what they're talking about. A purpose is really a conglomeration of who you've been throughout many, many, many lifetimes. So in your soul plan, you say, okay, I'm going back to Earth and I want to bring these talents. I want to share these gifts with people. I want to create this experience for myself and maybe share that with other people. So when we write soul contracts, it's about supporting each other, and sometimes even supporting each other through a business. So I even do Akashic Record business readings because your business has an Akashic record also, and it's very connected to your soul purpose in the way it's connected to who you are throughout time, which I also call your soul lineage. So it's a complicated topic. So the way it works is that we have a general archetype, or 4 or 6 kind of general archetypes, which is really who we are as a soul, right? Ancient, wise, big souls. We are not these little bitty people, right? And so we may be coming to communicate information about healing and wisdom. And that would be a very clear soul purpose. And yet it still isn't giving you a job description. So then we would go further into your Akashic Records and say, okay, if we're talking about past lives as a healer, what kind of healer have I been? And sometimes people have been more hands-on type healers. And sometimes I will find people who have been more like an herbalist. They've been doctors. Maybe they were an acupuncturist in a past life. Maybe they were in Europe in the last 2,000 years, and they worked, you know, picking plants and making tinctures and making soups and, you know, and being really what used to be really a doctor or a shaman or a wise woman or wise man. So these are all part of your soul lineage, right? And so so we can kind of start to hone in on what kind of healer have I been? What kind of healer am I in alignment to? And then another great gift of the Akashic Records is that when we're working in the Akashic Records, you know, when I do this for you or teach you how to do this for yourself, right? So whether it's doing, you know, one of my programs in one way or another, I can help you reclaim those past lives as a healer, whatever kind of healer it was for you. And then again, we look at the archetype as say a communicator. What kind of communicator have you been? Have you been a speaker? Have you been an author? Have you been more of a teacher in the community? Are you from the ancient mystery schools? Were you a philosopher, or maybe were you a politician? Right? So your soul lineage is the accumulation of all these past lives you've had in which you've been really on task, in which you've really been able to step out into the world and do the work you came to do. So that's truly what your soul purpose is. It's not a job description. It's not one thing. And so, you know, I kind of use those archetypes because, of course, they're some of mine, right? So I would say, kind of as an example, the communicator was the big overall archetype. So speaking, writing, right? You know, teaching, talking, sharing in numerous ways, that's the communicator. And then the healer, of course, I have a lot of kind of more the hands-on healing energy, even though I do it hands-off, right? Do it across the world, it doesn't matter, but it's more of that vibration energy. I channel the energy through me from the Akashic Records to, you know, to you, to my clients. And then we pull some of those out. As you know, when it came to writing books, I would go, help me to look at all these past lives in which I was a successful author, in which I wrote with ease, in which I was published, in which right, my book sold, whatever, right? So the records are phenomenal because we can start to reclaim these gifts and talents in a bigger way that way. So it's pretty profound. And so, yeah, that's kind of the bigger overview of your soul purpose. It's complicated and kind of exciting in that way.
So I was just going to add really quickly. So it's not just about getting information, but it's also reclaiming those energies, those frequencies, those vibrations, those gifts and talents as well.
Right. Yes, absolutely. So I even do, and some teach in my kind of my more advanced classes, Akashic soul retrieval, because our souls splinter through pain and trauma. And it's important to get those splinters back into the whole, as well as sometimes those splinters hold some great gifts or talents that we've had. Like I think I would venture to say that most of the people on the call have had lifetimes in the Middle Ages where they were healers or doctors or wise women or men or, you know, some sort of shaman and got killed for being a witch. And so we make vows like, I'm never going to do that again because that got me killed. And so a lot of healers that I've met hide because they have a vow of, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to get killed. And then we also have challenges around money because we say we take vows of poverty because we've also been monks or nuns or priests, and we've made these vows of poverty. So we put these two things, vows of poverty and vows to not be seen, and it makes it really hard for us to get out there as healers and light workers and do our work and share our gifts, because we have these vows of, I'm not doing that this time.
Yeah.
Or I'm not doing that ever again. That's why these vows are so hard to get rid of, because we've said, I am never doing that again.
So we can clear those in the Akashic Records, and there we can do healing in the Akashic Records as well.
Yep.
And so can the Akashic Records also help with some of the unconscious beliefs that we may be carrying, that we may be having?
Oh, absolutely. Because, you know, I would say that most of the vows we've ever made are all unconscious, right? They're past life. And even though they're there, they're not conscious in our lives now. So these are blocks that are pretty darn hard for us to find in this life if we're just going through life like, you know, why don't I want to tell anybody that I'm a healer? Or why am I not, you know, out there sharing my gifts? I'm really a phenomenal Reiki master and channel, or, you know, and we think, you know, my family's been pretty accepting and everything seems good. You know, we just don't get like what is stopping us.
Yeah.
And so then there are past life challenges, past life traumas of getting killed, past life vows, past, you know, they can be past life blocks. So in the Akashic Records, that's a lot of what I do for people, is to go back and to clear the emotional pain, the physical pain, the trauma, the spiritual pain, all these layers, because what the record keepers show me is that pain looks like a ball of barbed wire, like around a lifetime. So if you imagine you had this beautiful life as a wise woman and a healer in a lovely little village in Europe, and then somebody says, oh, she's a witch, and you get yourself killed. Now you have this barbed wire around that life because somebody turned on you. You went through all, of course, the emotional pain of being called a witch and being locked up, and the physical pain of getting killed or tortured, and on, you know. Let's just say it's a challenge. So now I can't get to that healer lifetime anymore because it's surrounded by barbed wire. So in the Akashic Records, what I'm literally doing is I'm going in and I'm erasing the pain, the physical pain, the emotional pain, that trauma, and that spiritual pain, which is often something like, you know, God or Mother, Father, Goddess, God, why have you forsaken me? How could you let me get killed for this when I'm doing my work, when I'm doing your work, when I'm doing the work of the divine, right?
Right.
So this is what I call spiritual pain. And most of us have levels and layers of it from other lifetimes, and sometimes, you know, from this lifetime. That for me, it was fascinating because, you know, I talk sometimes about when I was a teenager, my two best friends died. And for me, that was a huge spiritual pain. I felt abandoned by my friends. I felt abandoned by, you know, Goddess God. I felt forsaken. You know, here I'm awake. I'm reading spiritual books. I'm learning to heal. I'm studying philosophy in college. And I'm like, how could you take my best friends away from me? How could you take my soul sisters from me? Right? And I said, forget it. I'm not doing whatever it was I came to do. I was kind of a stubborn, bratty little girl. Anyway, but most of us are, really, right?
Yeah.
So that is spiritual pain. I threw my gifts away for 15 years, or I stuck them on a bookshelf, let's say, or up on the shelf in the closet in a shoebox, you know. But when we can realize that, I was blessed. I worked in the records. I was, you know, very intuitive psychic healer, you know, that even though I tried to dump the gifts, I couldn't quite do it.
Yay.
Right. Right. But so I realized, right? But most of us, if we don't know what to ask, if we don't know what to look for, how do we find it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, is like, I think for a lot of people who may be wary about working in the records is like, what do I ask? Because there's a way of asking things, and there's some things you can't ask, and blah blah blah, right? So it's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. It's like it's too complicated. It's too confusing. It's etc. And so then they just don't. It's like I don't know. And then they get to the point where like, well, I don't know. I don't think the Akashic Records can do anything for me because I don't understand it. Whereas really, it is a wealth of information and healing and wisdom and clearing that are available in the Akashic Records, right?
Oh, phenomenal. I mean, I would say that I basically spend most of my days, even, doing one-on-one readings, most of it is about healing for people, right? It's some information and some consciousness, because having that conscious awareness also helps us to heal and release old stuff. But it really is going back and healing hidden beliefs and unconscious beliefs and programs and vows and old karmic patterns that are really complete, but they're stuck. Again, they get kind of locked down and stuck, and we just can't figure out how to get around them. So literally, I have found, and that healing through the Akashic Records is phenomenal, because when someone comes to me and says, I'm having challenges around, starting my healing business, or I'm having challenges around, making more money, or finding a relationship, or in my relationship, the record keepers will usually give us, I'm going to say 5 layers of information, or 3 layers of information. It's never one answer. We're complicated. We're old. We're ancient. Right?
Ancient, yes.
Really ancient. And
yeah.
so it's about all these different layers. And so we'll go back and I'll heal the past life vows and heal the past life trauma and heal that spiritual trauma and heal the childhood beliefs and heal the vows. And sometimes it's ancestral information and ancestral lineage that's blocking you, something that happened, or there's ancestral curses, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we can really, to me, the Akashic Records is the most powerful way to heal all of these things throughout all time space continuum.
Awesome. Thank you. And that's what we need to, a lot of people, that's what we need to hear and know about, is like, can the Akashic Records do this? I think for a lot of times, or for in the past, people just thought it was just like a repository of information. It wasn't. I mean, when I first started learning with the Akashic Records years ago, before I met you, so years ago, I just thought it was just information that was there, and told us about stuff. It wasn't necessarily like, what can we do with it, kind of thing. But after meeting you, taking, your courses as well, it's like, oh, we can do healing, and the healing is phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
The energy in the Akashic Records is phenomenal, right? So it's not just about accessing information. It's about transformation, receiving transformation. And I think that's one of the key points or key aspects of the Akashic Records, the way that you teach it as well, is there's healing also, there's clearing also, there's, you can do more than just access information, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely. And I have to say, for me, I would say that I was almost like a healer first, or that was more my consciousness that really brought me kind of back from my stubborn stance of, screw you, I'm not going to do whatever it was I came to do. It's like, it was the healing that really called me back, being that healer, because it just felt so strong in my life. But so when the Akashic Records asked me to start my own school, they said, please help us to bring the Akashic Records back to the world. We want you to start, a school. And I was like, kind of why? I mean, there was one other school out there at that point. But they said, because we want you to teach people how to heal in the Akashic Records. We want you to bring that information out, because nobody's really doing that. We want you to let people know that we are here to help you, not just understand. Because I've had people come to me as clients and they said, I remember one person really specifically because they were traumatized. They said, I had an Akashic record reading and this person told me that I was burned at the stake as a witch, and what am I supposed to do with that, right? I'm like, oh my God, that's awful. And they were just like feeling all of this energy and pain and trauma. And I'm like, oh, well, that's easy. Let me just erase it for you. I can clear that emotional pain, that trauma, that physical pain from that life 600 years ago. One of the gifts I have and one of the gifts I teach. Yeah. So, you know, that to me was what the record keepers asked me to do. Bring back, you know, people to do this. The records are so much more than, I mean, the information's phenomenal, but they're like, we're so much more than just information, right?
Yeah, it's not just a library. You know, it's not just a library.
Not just a library. That is right. Yeah. And that's important. Yeah. So.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to just, I know that Mary and Perry had a question. I'm just gonna see what the question is. So we're not going into anybody's Akashic records today, but the question is, can you help me to clear any soul contracts no longer for my highest good or the highest good of all? That's there's lots of soul contracts and all vows of hiding and resistance to showing up in my divine essence. So that is possible for sure. Right, Lisa? So we talked a little bit about that already, that is something that's possible to do and clear in the Akashic record, right?
Right, absolutely. And you know, this is really what this you know, my Akashic frequency activations and healing program is totally about. That's really, you know, why I did it, why I put it together, because there's so many levels and layers of this. And I would be happy to do a group healing for everybody around, you know, I mean, I also like to be real. I'm the biggest fan of truth. Mm-hmm. And the fact is that for most of us, we are, again, very ancient souls. And I would like to snap my fingers and you know, heal any and all soul contracts through all time-space continuum and any and all pain I have. And you know what, it's actually not likely.
Yeah, it's not just a magic wand that you know, takes care of everything, that wipes away everything. Yeah.
Right. You know, so levels and layers. And the truth is, again, and this is something that we see and know, if you're kind of watching or following anyone who is really woken up, sometimes when we clear all of that everything that, you know, like, it's almost like clearing your whole soul's plan. So now you're just wide awake and enlightened. We're completely ungrounded. We have no guidance. We have no purpose. We have no reference. We have no anything. Mm-hmm. And, you know, people sometimes find themselves sitting on a park bench for a while. Yes. And maybe even longer than a while. I honestly believe that there are some homeless people out there who are actually awake. And we become so ungrounded that, I mean, we just can't function in the world anymore.
Yeah.
So we don't really want to do it. Yeah, we want to kind of, and part of the great gift of the records too is that when we can understand, you know, and grasp it, also that helps us to kind of ground it into our bodies, to know it and see it in other times and places when it comes up again. You know, it's about the soul learning and growth. So it's like the reason that we don't heal other people who don't request it is because if we take their soul growth away from them, again, you know what? They're going to have to just create it again so that they actually get it, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So healing is a very fascinating and kind of complex, interesting concept. So again, I'm a big fan of, like, you know, what can we clear? What soul contracts that are no longer for our highest, you know, for whoever's highest good, mm-hmm. Are ready to be cleared and released. And so we do it by layers. And that's easier on the body too, right? Because I know that when I sit down and heal someone for an hour, it can be exhausting. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Do we have time to do a short process for all of us today?
Yeah, absolutely. Just, we'll do kind of a quick, maybe a little 5-minute, and then we'll talk a little bit more, because it's a fabulous experience and segue into other things.
Awesome. Sounds good.
Okay, so let's just take a minute and bring ourselves, create a beautiful column of light around everyone who's here today, everyone who's listening and watching any replays. In the future, we're going to bring all of us into the Akashic column of light by asking the divine lords of unconditional love to help us center fully in this moment as we create this sacred space. Please wrap us in your love and protection and allow us to travel to the highest realms of the Akasha available to us today. Please help as we open our multidimensional hearts to divine love and release all resistance. Lords of the Akashic Record, please guide us to the deepest truth we can access now. Support each of us in healing and releasing that which no longer serves on our true path. We give great thanks for your divine love and support on this journey today. And so I ask the Akashic Record Keepers, I ask each and every one of you, as you are listening now, to ask your record keepers to help you to clear and release any soul contracts that no longer are for your highest good and the highest good of the person that you have that contract with. So we clear any and all soul contracts that have been stuck outside of time and space, that are really complete but energetically got stuck throughout time and space. So we go back into some of these past lives that you've had with people who are also in your present life now. And you may feel like your present contract feels a little stuck or karmic or challenging. And it can be because it's actually stuck in a past life energy, some old karma that may even have been finished in that past life. So we're just gonna go outside of time and space, clear the emotional pain, the physical pain, the trauma of these soul contracts that are affecting these soul contracts through all time space continuum. We ask the record keepers to uplift them and bring them to completion for the highest good of all concerned. Whew. And we go back and we fill each lifetime where we have cleared, released, and completed a soul contract. We fill that life with the highest Akashic light and wisdom and energy that you can now hold really throughout time. So we fill it in that lifetime. And then we fold time, bringing all of that healed energy into your physical body in this present moment, right here and now. So we let that come down. You might feel that as just a beautiful golden light, or it might show up as a different colored light coming down, usually down into your crown chakra. It might come in through your heart, just filling your physical body, however that's showing up for you. We ask the record keepers to help us to integrate it down into the physical body with ease and grace. Good, and so it is. Has to be. There's that lovely little yawning. I love your yawning. It's always, that clearing, right? I kind of blow energy out, or I use my hands to clear and move. And I know Laura always yawns.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I do. And yeah, and that's the thing is that I actually felt some of the energy like leaving my body, you know, like as we were doing the process, leaving my body. It was a, I don't know, it was like a strange feeling. I can't even describe it. It was like a fluttering of this energy and just leaving, you know? So it's like, awesome, cool.
Yeah. So, we all feel things differently, of course, right? I sometimes feel it as a swirling. People will sometimes tell me that they almost feel dizzy or spinny or cold, almost like a breeze, or hot as it's burning up, right? So some of us get a cool breeze blow out, some of us get kind of fire energy burning it up. It's all perfect. It's your highest and best good, right? It's your Akashic record keepers that are helping each and every one of you to do this for yourself. That's why I kind of bring us all into this Akashic energy, but we're calling in our highest Akashic record keepers to help us to do this for ourselves. So yeah, lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm still yawning, so oops, I'm not tired. Right. It's just the energy moving and shifting. It's all good.
Yeah, and for some of us, like if there's a lot of that, because this is the first time we've done some kind of clearing like that, you might feel it for a little while, maybe for 20 minutes or an hour, or you might feel that you're more tired later. And of course, I always say, soaking in a nice Epsom salt bath is always a great way of helping to clear it out of the energy field. So often emotional energy and pain and trauma is stuck in the body, and so it's leaving. So sometimes people are like, I'm experiencing it again, but it's just that it's kind of in front of your face as it's moving out through your field. So things like an Epsom salt bath can help to move it out of your energy field in a faster sort of way. And for someone else, going for a run or exercise, sweating, right? Going for a hike. Mm-hmm. All of that really helps us process and move energy through our bodies quicker.
Absolutely. So I was just about to ask you, Marianne, how you're doing. And she says, I feel like I'm taking my place again as a leader or part of a council.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah, wonderful.
Good. Thank you. So yeah, how is everybody feeling after that process? Or if you might still be, processing like I am, type in the chat, let us know how you're doing, how you're feeling, what you experienced. And so, Lisa, I wanted to talk a little bit about the special offer that you have for us, which is if you're on the live page, you can just click on special offer. If you're not, click on the link. Click on the button.
Find that button.
And so this is the Divine Frequency Activations and Clearings package from the Akashic Masters to empower your life. So what all is included and what can we expect from this program?
Right. Yeah. So it's what I just did was a very mini sample. And so, that times 12 hours or whatever it is. So we work in different sections on clearing soul contracts that are complete but stuck, clearing vows of love, I will love you forever, clearing childhood programs of codependency, and on. So we clear all of this so we can step more fully and deeply into creating a powerful, loving, really deep heart-centered relationship. And then in session 2, we work on clearing painful emotions and creating better boundaries for ourselves. So we work with the Akashic healing and clearing prayers to create good boundaries. We clear other people from our space. We clear other people's energy and beliefs. We clear some of that feeling of having to be of service, right? Or sometimes it's old pain and trauma that might be stuck in our space from having an abusive childhood or being fired or being dumped, whatever it might be for you. And so each one of these sessions, I think, are about an hour each. So they're very deep, and you can see if you're reading that that there's many different aspects. And so in the third session, we learn a powerful tool to create your heart desire. So we really learn to create, to take our desire and use that to mock up an image and energetically activate this desire so that we can create it with greater ease in the world. And that's a whole process I teach you. Mm-hmm. In the fourth session, we clear trauma that's connected to addiction, and it can be, again, emotional pain. So in all of these, we're kind of tapping into clearing emotional pain, whether it's in the pain body or in some other part of your energy field. We're getting it out of the pain body also, which is good, but emotional pain and how it's intertwined with addiction. So a lot of times that's I'm not good enough. I don't deserve to have a good life. It, really connects us to try and make ourselves feel better, whether it's, food or alcohol or sex or whatever, addictive patterns. And then there's a whole section, session number 5, where we work on physical pain and health issues. And so we go through and do a lot of physical level healing and pain around, physical pain in the body that's, turned into that dis-ease in the physical body. And then, like I said, the pain body release technique is the full session number 6. And like I say, often I work on that kind of like for an hour. And so we literally just work on people's pain body, and we focus on the pain that was created from abuse of all kinds to release this from the pain body. So whether it's, physical, sexual, emotional, verbal, these, this huge amount of trauma that we have in our energy body that really turns into that kind of light, all those lights, pain pictures. So in session 6, we spend an hour clearing that. And then included are 16 of the Akashic healing prayers that I've been given from the record keepers to help us to support this work by, the prayer for healing family relationships, and, prayer of abundance for love, prayer for strength, prayer for courage, prayer for forward motion, right? To help support you in clearing and moving forward. And then there is one more bonus, which just has a huge conglomeration of all sorts of different issues that we went through healing in that hour. Plus you get my Rainbow Shield meditation, which is all about creating really strong boundaries so you truly can align to your soul's plan and purpose and really align to what you came to do and be in this life with greater ease. Oh, and wow. I always love to give everybody a discount on a session. If you want to work with me one-on-one privately, I give you a 25% discount on doing a private session. So that's
great.
Yeah. So
yeah, this is a great package. I love it. I'm looking at it. I'm like, it's like, wow, we can definitely use a lot of these modules to clear, and not just clear, but actually, clear and heal and then move forward, right. Yeah, that's wonderful, wonderful. So if there's something that you've been stuck with, if there's something in your life that you're stuck in, if you're having a hard time creating, moving forward, if you do have aches and pains and things in your body, there are so many like reasons for them, right? And a lot of them are covered in these modules, and just the pain body release technique is going to help, huge, big time. I love it. I think this is a great program, Lisa.
Right. I mean, so we're looking at a good 7 probably plus hours of me doing energy healing for you, which would, really honestly, it says here the total package is, valued at $830. But if you multiplied, really my rate now, times 7 hours, whatever, I'm just like, what would that be? Well, that would be almost $3,000 worth of healing
Yeah, exactly. And but not just that, then you can, use these MP3s over and over again,
Layer after layer, right? So we do clear in layers, so you can
Yeah.
listen to it again and again. And
Yeah.
and just as Mary was asking about, you know, relationships and clearing old contracts, the session number 1 would be perfect. That hour of working on clearing old contracts that are complete but feel stuck. Right there is,
Yeah.
all of that. Creating boundaries, getting people out of our space. So yeah, so I find that these are pretty profound, because they're Akashic frequency activations and clearings, and we do reclaim energy every single time we clear. We always reclaim back to the highest and best you can now hold. So
Yeah.
not only are we clearing, we are upgrading and strengthening you every step of the way.
And when you do that, then you have more energy in order to create, in order to live your life on purpose. Once you have more energy freed up for yourself, then you can, go on to do bigger and better things, and all the stuff that you've been wanting to do that you haven't been able to do, you have more energy available to do that. So like Destiny says, so much great info today, and so many ways the Akashic Records can heal. It's exciting. Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. It's like, wow, there's some wonderful, cool stuff in here. And I'm thinking maybe I have a pain body, stuff going on, So I was thinking that during the call. It's like, oh, maybe I got some pain body stuff going on.
Right, for only $97, Alara, maybe you want to do it too, right?
I know, right? It's like, yeah, it's like, wow, definitely, and the thing is, it's like, once you start to heal and clear one aspect of your life, take action, continue moving forward the best you can. And then, as if things, get wonky, go back and listen to a different MP3, or go back and listen to a different, do the pain body release technique again, or do some of the prayers. I mean, there's so many tools in this one package. I'm like, I love it. Yeah, good job.
Thank you.
I think it's really a great package for any of us to use on a regular basis, because like I said, it's not going into the Akashic Records is not just about finding out information. It's about healing and clearing and making a change in your Akashic Records, which then translates into your current life, and so you can have more ease and live your life on purpose and create more. That's what it's
Right.
about. It's not just finding out stuff. It's like,
Right.
what am I
To
gonna
me,
do
it's
about? Oh
about,
yeah, this happens. Like, yeah, okay, so
right. It's just finding information. To me, it's finding information so I can heal it. That's my point always, is what can I find out that I can heal for you? I always want to be of service. That is my driving force in my work, in my life, is to, what can we know so we can heal or reclaim
exactly,
information for you.
Yeah, reclaim those gifts, reclaim those energies, those frequencies, those vibrations, those talents. And sometimes just going in and healing and clearing something gives you more like lightness of being, so that you can like, oh, okay, let me now go forward and do blah blah blah, whatever happens to be. And that's what it's all about. It's like, this can support you in creating your best life, and you living your greatest life on purpose, instead of haphazardly. It's like, on purpose, you get to choose, you get to create. So it's really empowering, and it's very transformational. So I love it. Thank you, Lisa. Again, that is available from Lisa for $97, regularly $830, but actually worth more. But so you definitely want to take a look at it and start working with the program for yourself. Start working with it, and be excited, because as you start to work with it, your life is going to change for the better.
Yes.
So if that's what you would like, awesome, great.
Yeah.
All right. So Lisa, anything else coming up in the near future that you want to share with us really quickly?
I am actually teaching a 3-day workshop in Sedona, Arizona in April. If anyone wants to come and spend 3 full days with me, learning to access their own Akashic Records and learning the healing tools that I teach at that workshop in Sedona. So it's April 18th through the 20th, and you can read more about it on my website at akashicknowing.com. And I
Awesome.
would love to see some of you there. It would be so fun.
And you always have the classes, the programs available online as well. Like if people can't come to you in Sedona, they can still learn the program, from your website online, distantly, etc.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
there are many options available for you if you'd like to learn more about the Akashic Records. And, if you'd like to, try, if you've never worked with Lisa before, get this package, start working with some of the MP3s, some of the healing programs. And then you can, if you love it, which you will, then you can, look into becoming an Akashic Records practitioner yourself. Yay.
Yes. Yeah. I teach people how to do this work. Absolutely. I think it's important, especially where we are in historically, where we are in history right now. More people are conscious of the Akashic Records than ever before. And I can say that from, talking about them for the last 25, 30 years, where people are now like, oh, yes, I know what that is. I've had a reading, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so those of you who are interested in starting a spiritual career, I teach you all the way through that. And I think that's important because I know there's not that many of us who actually teach that part, not only even just how to read the records, but how to create a good business, because I'm a good businesswoman.
Yes, you are. Awesome. Thank you. Yes. And so this is a business as well. If you'd like to, have this in your toolbox and create a business for yourself, you can do that too. So, get the healing package, start working with that for yourself, start healing all those blocks and those vows and those contracts and all that wonderful stuff that's there that may be stopping you. And then go from there and see what else you want to create, see what else you want to do, and have fun with it.
Right. I always love the record keepers always remind us, life is a journey, right? It's not a destination.
Exactly.
So just start somewhere and start walking. And that's what I did all those years ago when the record keepers asked me to help them. They asked me to help, kind of bring this information out to the world. And I had 3 babies and I said, you guys are crazy, right? Because I was doing readings and teaching classes, but I'm like, I'm busy here. I got babies. And they were like, it's kind of like, just start walking, just take a step, teach a class, help us.
Exactly.
And
just start where you are. Yeah.
Just start where you are.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. And you've been doing wonderfully ever since. Yay. I love it, love it, love it. So thank you. I know you have to go. So thank you. And thank you everybody for staying with us, for learning more, for experiencing that wonderful healing process that we received from Lisa and the Akashic Record Masters. So I'm so grateful for that. That was beautiful and powerful. Take a look at the special offer for yourself if you'd like to do some healing work for yourself in your own records, clear those contracts, vows, blocks, and patterns, that may be there stopping you, right? So that's available. So, I'm going to get it. I think there's some wonderful tools in there that we can all use. And so I'm going to get it for myself because why not? I can, it'll be fun. Play with it, right?
Yeah.
So thank you, Lisa. This was awesome.
Oh, thank you. It was very fun to be with you again today. Thank you.
I know, right? It's always so short. It's always like, oh my goodness, I wish we could talk. We could talk forever, but it's like there's always so much to talk about. But I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us because I know how busy you are as well. And so this is really beneficial and it's so important for everyone. So I'm glad you're here to share this work with all of us. So thank you.
Thank you. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Until next time, may you continue to be blessed with an abundance of joy, peace, love, happiness, prosperity, and radiant health. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Bye for now.